Hello, welcome to the Film Yap podcast. My name is Ben Sears. I'm joined today with my fellow Film Yap writer and IFJA member, Nate Richard. Nate, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. Ready to talk some Golden Globes, some award stuff.
Yeah, so we're kind of taking over this thing, and we think we probably will be at least for the next couple weeks. We're going to talk about specifically the award season, and we're both kind of Oscar nerds and award season nerds, so we're gonna talk in maybe not granular detail about everything, but we're gonna talk, who the favorites are, who uh, is who should be getting snubbed, who's surprising, all of the ups and downs throughout the award season.
Yeah.
We just we're starting it this week because on Sunday night we had the Golden Globe Awards. So we're going to share our thoughts about those and then how that may or may not impact the Oscar race. And then last week we also had some other awards bodies give their nominations. So we're going to talk a little bit about those. And then yeah, so let's just go ahead and dive in. Nate, how did you like the Golden Globes, the show? Just kind of overall, did you like it? Did you Nikki Glazer hosted for the second year in a
Yep.
row? How did you feel about her?
You know what? I liked her a lot last year. It felt like because I remember the year before that was the Joe Coy debacle, and that was so like infamous. And then I've always liked Nikki Glazer. I like her kind of sense of humor and just she's not afraid to like throw punches. And I think last year was such a surprise with how well she did that I'm very glad they had her back. I think a little bit of her edge was, I think, toned down a little bit, but not much. I thought she did a great job. She, you know, I if they have her back again next year, I would not be mad. I don't know if they will. I hope so, but I liked a lot of her sketches as well. The podcast one in particular, that made me crack up a lot.
Yeah, the pre-recorded bit was a lot better than actually giving out an award for a podcast.
Yeah.
That whole thing was very silly. That was a new award this year. So, yeah, I enjoyed her as well. I don't think she had 100% hit rate.
Mm-mm.
There was a Marty Supreme and K-pop Demon Hunters mashup
Yeah.
that she did that was a little overplayed, but I mean, other than that, I kind of think she was the best part about that show. I am really only familiar with her through her Golden Globes appearances because, like, I've more or less checked out on the stand-up comedy circuit these days. So I knew of her, but I wasn't, I hadn't seen her specials. I hadn't, seen her talk show appearances, things like that. But yeah, I think she does a good job. I think she kind of toes that line of poking fun at the people in the room and, without being mean-spirited. So yeah, I thought it was a decent show. The awards itself, kind of predictable. There were a few surprises, which we'll definitely talk about.
Yeah.
I will say, speaking of predictable, we're not going to talk about the TV awards. Those were almost all kind of foregone conclusions and kind of repeated the winners from the Oscars, with
Emmys,
the
you mean?
exception of Rhea Seehorn, who won for Pluribus, and Michelle Williams won for Dying for Sex. Other than that, yeah, I think it was all kind of copy and paste from the Emmys.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the award, the movie award winners. Nate, did you have uh, any ones that stood out to you as far as a surprise,
You know,
surprise winner, surprise loser?
the first two awards actually kind of caught me off guard. Best Supporting Actress was it's been a race this whole season with between Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another and Amy Madigan for Weapons. And you know my love of weapons. Absolutely love that movie. So I've been rooting for Amy Madigan, but I also loved One Battle. And I actually watched One Battle over the Christmas break with my family. And I will say that first act of the movie, which she carries, I know it turns a lot of people off with how it's portrayed, but it's her that carries that. Like, she's what makes it so compelling. And she is, along with Chase Infinity, like the beating heart of that movie. So I have no issue with her winning. I thought she gave a phenomenal speech. She seemed extremely genuine and just moved by just winning. And I think it's also just a good like campaign speech as well. I mean, compared to, and I love Amy Madigan. Amy Madigan just feels so like she just feels like a regular person, you know,
Uh-huh.
versus like Tiana Taylor is like really just she showed how much it meant to her to just be winning that award. And then Stellan Skarsgård to me was like the big shock because early on in the Oscar race, as you remember, he was kind of the one that people were saying, "Oh, he's going to shoo in." He's never even been nominated for an Academy Award. He's only won one other Golden Globe, and that was for a TV show, Chernobyl. And so he kind of began to falter when One Battle came out, and then Sean Penn began to rise, Benicio del Toro began to rise, and then Frankenstein Jacob Elordi also was beginning to pick up awards, while Paul Mescal and Adam Sandler were just kind of there along for the ride. But it finally shifted back to Stellan Skarsgård. And as much as I think he's kind of the lead of that movie, he's not supporting at all. But that's awards. We had Kieran Culkin win Sweep last year, so can't
Yeah,
complain too much.
I don't think the lead or supporting category fraud, if you want to call it that, has ever really mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the award winners from last year. Yeah. Um, yeah, I thought Teyana Taylor gave the best speech of the night. That was great. She was I think she was genuinely surprised to hear her name called, and that's always an awesome moment. Yeah, Stellan was a great win as well. I also kind of thought that the one battle uh Benicio and Sean Penn, one of them would maybe take it. But yeah, I loved his speech. I loved him winning. I hope that it's not just a blip. And we'll talk more later about, how that may or may not impact the Oscar chances for him or for anyone else. But yeah, I can see both of them. They both gave great speeches to kind of say to the world, like, this is the kind of person you can feel good about giving an Oscar to. Yeah, the rest of them, the rest of the at least the acting winners. Um, you had Jessie Buckley win for Hamnet, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, she basically had no competition in that category. Rose Byrne won for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You in the musical or comedy category. Who's to say whether that movie is actually a comedy or not? It's certainly neither of our places, but she won. She also gave a great speech. I think those both are pretty safe bets for Oscar nominations. The only other acting win that I think could be qualified as surprising was Wagner Moura winning for The Secret Agent. I mean, I guess when you look at the other nominees in that category, you have Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams, Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein, Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and then Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen. The competition maybe wasn't the stiffest, but I mean, it definitely solidified him as a pretty safe bet for an Oscar nomination. And
Yeah.
again, he gave a great speech. I enjoyed his speech talking about what The Secret Agent is about for people who may not have seen it yet. And also, yeah, that movie won Best International Feature. So certainly seems like the secret agent's stock is rising at the perfect time. So,
Yeah. I wasn't as high on The Secret Agent as a lot of people, but I've been meaning to watch it again because like I saw it really, really late and like that was during Heartland. So like seeing a movie a day, sometimes you're just a little tired. And so I've been meaning to watch it again because, you know, what other movie has a sentient leg walking around the park killing people? I mean, and
uh, yeah, that and Train Dreams, I guess.
yeah. And Wagner Moore, I've been a fan of him since Narcos. My dad got me into that show. That was one of the first like big Netflix shows that really broke out. So like he's always been a really consistent performer, but I feel like he was never like as recognizable as, you know, somebody like Pedro Pascal or Oscar Isaac. And I'm glad he's finally, you know, because he was like doing like the Gray Man and like supporting roles in like Russo brothers Netflix movies. It's like he's so much better than that. So I'm just like happy to finally see him get love. I thought he was also really great in Civil War. I feel like that's when
Yep.
his stock was really beginning to rise again. And, you know, I think it was not really, you're right, it wasn't a competitive category at all. It was primarily just him, and I could have seen Michael B. Jordan winning for Sinners. I'll get to that later because I have a lot of thoughts on how they treated that movie. Um, but it was really just between them because I think they're the two in the category who will actually be nominated for the Oscar. Versus, I did want to bring up the comedy category. I do think that's the real kind of competition because that was Timothy Chalamet, my boy, won for Marty Supreme. And I think his main competition was Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. And there's been this whole narrative. It's Timothy Chalamet, the next Leonardo DiCaprio. People, you know, even quality of acting, like aside, like them both being, you know, in their primes when they're late 20s, early 30s. But like people were wondering, is it going to take him as long to win, you know, awards as it took Leo? And it's funny that his main competition is Leonardo DiCaprio, especially that there's a very famous interview with Timothy Chalamet about advice Leonardo DiCaprio gave him about no superhero movies, no
Right.
hard
Yeah.
drugs, you know. And Leo doesn't seem like as competitive. He just seems like happy to be there. And you know, I've been rooting for Timothy Chalamet, so I'm just really happy he won. Um, Others in
Yeah.
that category were like Jesse Plemons. I wish he was more in the conversation. He's not, unfortunately. And Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, who I think he's phenomenal. He's not going to win any, you know, awards. He won like critics groups, but that's it.
Yeah, I think yeah, Ethan Hawke I feel like was a pretty solid number three between those two, Timmy and Leo. Um, I think Ethan Hawke is I don't know if he will go home empty-handed this award season. Um, but if he wanted any chance of winning the Oscar, he probably needed to win here. And he's one of those guys who rarely ever, gives a bad performance, or I mean, he may be in some bad movies, but he still shows up and he does the work, and he's run a great campaign so far this season, and everybody that works with him loves him. Um, I mean, maybe we'll get to it later, but maybe he could win at SAG,
I
amongst his
actually think so.
peers. Um, but yeah, Timothy, I can definitely see a world where he sweeps the season and just goes straight to the Oscar, and that would be fine with me. I loved him in Marty Supreme. I've loved him in a lot of his performances. Um, I do maybe this would make for its own podcast, but I am very curious now if he had won last year, won the Oscar for Complete Unknown, if he would still be on this same trajectory this year.
I I was gonna say, I don't know, and we'll get to SAG later,
Yeah.
because I think that's going to tie into it. But I remember even when he was like losing people, I saw like some pundits being like, he has that Safdie brothers movie next year. Like maybe that will finally
Mm.
kind of be it for him. Finally, when he's still, so young in his career, but he is making movies consistently. He is like marketing himself. And I think, I don't know how much other awards Marty Supreme is going to win this year. And I think, you know, that's a great way to honor that movie because he dominates that movie so much.
Yeah, exactly. He is the selling point of that movie, basically.
Yeah.
Um, we should touch on some of the other less surprising wins. One battle after another, pretty much cleaned up everywhere else. Screenplay, director, motion picture, uh,
Screenplay, did you say?
musical or comedy, yes. K-pop Demon Hunters won its two awards. No big surprises there. I guess really the only other surprise was Hamnet winning for musical or comedy,
Mm.
which I feel like a lot of people had Sinners pegged for that one. So curious. I don't think in the grand scheme of things that this is really gonna shift anything as far as the Oscars, but what was your reaction to seeing Hamnet win?
I really did love Hamnet, but it's like as soon as Sinners won the best box office achievement, I was like, oh crap. Like I was not happy. My roommate's like, why are you like mad? Like you love that movie. And I'm like, you don't know what's gonna happen. They're cheaping out.
Yeah,
And I think that's like the Globes have changed over the years. And like they try to be a little more arch. I feel like this Hamnet winning is almost like a reflection back to the old version of the Globes, where this would be kind of almost more common. But it really sucks because one, I love their speech, Ryan Coogler's speech during winning the box office achievement, which I think is a stupid award. Two, they cut out the movie's only other win. So they could give out best comedy special where the winner wasn't
yeah,
even there.
right. And the best podcast, and yeah,
Like, come on. And that score is like so great. People love Ludwig. And also, I feel like that's the only, like, I guess it's not as sexy as some of the other categories to like the casual viewer,
sure,
but like,
yeah,
it is a cool win. And I mean, it's a bummer. And, you know, I'm not going to argue against Hamnet, especially as I couldn't be mad for long because Steven Spielberg was up on the stage and I was like, yay. But, I felt like that was more old Globesy.
yeah. I saw an article on Vulture after that kind of was kind of saying the same thing that we miss when the Golden Globes were kind of messy and I've always enjoyed the Golden Globes kind of because of that because they're so unpredictable and weird sometimes. I mean, yes, sometimes it'll come at the expense of rewarding a more deserving film or performance or crafts person, but I mean there's something fun about something so chaotic sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the Hamnet win definitely took me for a surprise. I also love that movie slightly more than Sinners, admittedly, but still, I mean, I would have loved to see Ryan Coogler up on stage giving a speech and just what that represents, especially because I mean we'll talk about it. I don't know what other chances he'll have this season, you know. Um,
I don't know. Like I said, I love Sinners. Like that's top five movie of the year for me. I was like thrilled when it did so well at the IFJA. I just feel like that's the kind of movie that really gets people to connect with the award show as well.
right.
When like, I loved Honora. That was a deserving winner last year. But that was kind of going back to like people being like, what the heck is that movie? versus Sinners and One Battle in particular are movies that I feel like people are connecting with. And it's take me back to even like the Oppenheimer year, but I just don't want them to treat they gave Sinners the Barbie Wicked treatment. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like look, I love Barbie. That was one of my favorite. That was like my second or third favorite movie of that year. Adore that movie. I feel like Sinners is more of a, serious kind of movie than Wicked or, you know,
Yeah.
comparison.
It's
It's like,
it's more high-minded. It's more, I mean, yes, I love both of those movies as well. I will say, like, I mean, Lord only knows what their criteria is for giving that cinematic box office achievement award, but it was very much a box office achievement.
yeah,
It stayed in theaters and it made more money in the following weekends. Uh, I Yeah, don't ask me to get in depth on box office because that's none of my business, but yeah, it did really well at the box office, especially considering what it is. And, it came out in April and stuck around for a good portion of that quarter. So
yeah,
who knows? I mean, based on the past three winners, I would not be surprised if other potential winners, in the best film categories take their names out of consideration for that,
yeah.
because it is kind of a curse, the people who win that. So,
I feel like that might be what Dune 3 is next year. Because,
right.
yeah, right now that's opening the same day as Doomsday. We'll see how that like works out. I don't think they're opening the same day. That movie's going to make money, and that's probably like the prestige blockbuster that's going to be competing. Are they going to give that the same treatment? We'll see.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast that we could do. I mean, yeah, unless you have any other thoughts, I think we can move on to some of the other guilds and awards bodies that announced their nominees last week.
Mhm.
There was like a 3-day stretch last week when it was, oh, I almost said the SAG Awards. It's now the Actor Awards now. They gave out their nominees one day, and then the DGA gave their nominees, and then the PGA, the Producers Guild, gave their nominees. Okay, so there's a little less to talk about with the other guilds, as far as how it'll impact the Oscar race. So let's talk about these SAG Awards. Um, let's see, where's a good place to start? Should we talk about, I mean, little less surprising category, outstanding performance by a cast.
Yeah.
Nominees are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Yeah, no real surprises there. I think that's
I do
probably what I would have predicted.
I do have a qualm with the Hamnet nod only because, Jacoby Jupe, who plays the title role in that movie and is the beating heart of it and is freaking phenomenal in that movie for what he has to do. He's a young kid who's dying, and you have to hear his cries as he's dying. Like, it is a pretty, like, incredible performance. The fact that he is not even listed in there
Hmm.
makes me so, like, annoyed because it's like cool that you're honoring it. Come on, he needs to be there.
Yeah, I would guess that it's some kind of weird, he didn't get a title card, or I don't know
Yeah,
the ins and outs of what qualifies someone to be eligible to get a nomination there. But yes, I agree. Um, that is, while we're talking about outrageous kind of nonsense with this whole whole host of nominations,
yeah,
we should mention there are zero non-English language performances.
yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård, not a nominee. Wagner Moura, not a nominee. Renata Reinsve, Inga
Ipsdotter, Lilius.
Ibsdottir Lilius, yes. No nominations. Just kind of intriguing because it's not like this voting body never goes for foreign language performances. I mean, Amelia Perez last year, just we can leave it at that. Um, but it was kind of surprising and it kind of put some doubt into those nominations and how safe they were. I think maybe the Golden Globes helped that out a little bit. And I was never really, I wasn't gonna abandon ship on Wagner Moura or Stellan
No.
Skarsgård or any of those, but it is concerning, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I never really thought like, because people were also like, Elle Fanning, like, she's the American in that movie. Like, and she's incredible in that movie. I don't even think she's like worthy of like, I enjoyed her more in Predator. That's just
Mm,
me. But, I think the one snub that did stick out to me of those was Stellan Skarsgård because he's already a very recognizable actor here in the US as well. He's in a lot of American productions. He was in Mamma Mia, and wasn't he in Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
yep.
Yep. Like all of those kinds of movies. The fact that he was left out was a little confusing to me. Some of the other ones they've had besides Amelia Perez for some God knows why, they've always had a problem nominating like international actors. So I wasn't like fully shocked. But at the same
Hmm.
time, like somebody like Stellan Skarsgård missing, I don't think it takes him out of the conversation. I remember when If Beale Street Could Talk, when Regina King won at the Oscars for that, she wasn't even nominated at the SAG.
Right.
The person who won wasn't even nominated for an Oscar. That was Emily Blunt for A Quiet Place. Um, so I'm not as shocked as like some people are. And I still think this is a pretty diverse group of nominees because we have a lot of great sinners representation,
Yeah, I mean,
especially.
yeah, there's some great nominees here. Yeah. Miles Caton,
Yep.
Wunmi Masaku. Uh, Definitely did not anticipate them
No.
getting in. Odessa Azion for Marty Supreme. Love that. That's one of my
Yes.
favorite nominations of that whole group. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be too about it. I mean, especially when you consider the SAG voting membership also includes like TikTokers and influencers. So,
Yeah.
you know, do with that what you will. But yeah, I think there's some pretty solid nominations. It's hard to be too mad about what did get in. Uh, just for a point of clarity, one battle after another kind of shattered the nomination record for this with like
Mm-hmm.
seven. So if anyone had any doubt that it's going to be winning a whole lot at the Oscars, just look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, any ones here that besides the Sinners people, anyone that stood out to you or that you'd like to give a shout out?
I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but Jesse Plemons, he needs more love for that. He was so great. And I'm a your Lanthimos agnostic. I loved The Favorite, but I was not as high on Poor Things as a lot of people were. And
Same
then
here.
I went into Begonia being like, okay, this is an intriguing premise. Let's see what I like the trailers a lot, especially like the Chapel Row. And I'm like, let's see what you got. And he blew me away in that movie. And he's always been a great actor. But like, I would love to see him nominated even at the Oscars, but just him being nominated here kind of made me breathe a sigh of relief. I will say the one of the things that really stood out to me is I think kind of Wicked is kind of done now, um,
Yeah. Yeah, I
especially
mean, as far as above the line categories, yeah, I think it's pretty much which is crazy. Like I had for the longest time I had Ariana Grande winning that
yeah.
category. And now like I'm curious if she'll even get a nomination.
I don't have her in my predictions anymore, and like
Okay.
I,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard
yeah,
to argue, and I think she's great in that movie.
yeah,
I think that movie overall just is kind of forgotten at this point.
yeah.
Um, So, I mean, it'll get a couple craft nominations and a song nomination or two, but uh, I think everyone has kind of fully moved on from Wicked for good.
Yeah, I definitely, especially compared to like last year where we also had Jonathan Bailey nominated. And
Yep.
I remember how shocked we were with that nomination versus I feel like this year, the one thing that really shocked me was the Miles Caton nom. All the others, it's like they've been in contention for a while. It wasn't like, what the heck is the last showgirl? But Jamie Lee Curtis just like popping up in there, and then everybody
Oh boy.
changed. But this
Thank
is
you
also,
for reminding me that movie exists.
I still have never seen it. I don't know if I ever will. Um, all respect to Pamela Anderson, star of The Naked Gun, which she was great in that.
Very much
But
so.
you know, I think this is also last year where Monica Barbaro began to pick up steam for playing Joanne Baez in A Complete Unknown, which she was phenomenal in that. And I think this is kind of the path for Odessa. I
Yeah.
think I wasn't shocked to see her there. Um, I think I know we have a lot of colleagues who weren't as big on Song Sung Blue. I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought Kate Hudson was very good in that. So I
Yeah.
wasn't like shocked to see her there. Um,
I think she, of all these nominees, I think she is kind of the wild card
yeah,
for Oscars because I mean she's she won forever ago for Almost Famous and has not really had a role like this in forever. And I could see a world where she makes it through just based on love for her, and she is very good in Song Sung Blue, yeah. But I wonder, if I mean, I don't think that movie is in contention for any other category, so I wonder if she'll be kind of the sole representation from that movie. So
yeah,
yeah, I think the rest of these, I mean, Jesse Plemons, I don't know if he will make
no,
it through the Oscars.
I don't think so.
Emma Stone, I don't know, maybe she will. Just, she gets nominated for just about anything anymore. So,
Yep, two-time
and
winner.
she's great in Begonia, of course. I mean,
I,
yeah, I don't know. You kind of like we said, I don't think that, Wagner Moura or Stellan Skarsgård or any of the other sentimental value ladies are out of it. So I wonder, who you kick out of this lineup to get there. So
I think Elle Fanning is definitely kind of out. She's been, I think it might continue. She'll continue to be overlooked, but I think she's the kind of actress where when she's given like a lead role, when she finally gets like the big nomination, I think that will be
yeah,
like the season she like sweeps because she is one of the best of her age
yeah,
um, out there. Um,
yeah.
I think the one other performance I did kind of want to mention, I guess nomination because it was in cast, was I was a little surprised with Frankenstein just because we got only one acting nomination for that, which was Jacob Elordi, very deserving, but like the rest of the cast, I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, and especially wasn't I just closed this tab, but wasn't Oscar Isaac nominated at the Golden Globes?
He was.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that movie is just coming on so strong. It's like a top five Best Picture nominee at this point. So I'm a little surprised by it. I liked that movie. I didn't love it,
Yeah.
but I know, it's Guillermo. Everyone loves him. So um, yeah, that was a curious nomination. I don't
It's
know who I would have replaced it with, but I mean, maybe if you could give me a little bit more time, I could think of someone. But I mean, I just love that Marty Supreme is in there. I think
yeah.
that cast is outstanding. Um, yeah, it's an interesting group of nominees to keep track of. But we should probably move on. Um, should we do DGA first because they're a little less exciting this year?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So DGA, like I said, also announced their nominees last week. Directors Guild of America, of course. And the nominees for feature film were PTA for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Um, it's pretty rare that DGA and the Oscars completely lines up 5 for 5. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's the weakest among this group of nominees.
I,
Obviously PTA and Chloe Zhao, I feel like are pretty safe. Um, but like Ryan Coogler,
I think he's safe.
you think
I
he's safe?
I 1000. I think that movie's too much of a contender. And I feel like on some of the Oscar voters' minds, it's like they're gonna remember, the Barbie thing that happened where it's like say what you will about that whole, controversy. I did love that movie. I think she should have gotten nominated, but
Yeah.
that was a good crop of nominations that year. I probably wouldn't have taken anybody out. Well, I would have Yorgos. That's just because I didn't care for that movie.
Sure.
But he wasn't missing. I think I don't see Del Toro. Like I think it's Josh Safdie or Del Toro who could miss, and I actually could see Zhao missing. I think
Hmm.
Hamnet, we've seen it do well at the Globes. There's been movies that have been kind of blips, and like the movie didn't really perform well at the box office either. Like, I don't know. I know she's a
Sure.
previous winner, but we've seen like previous winners who are still, young in their career kind of miss that nomination after even winning. Um, so there's
Yeah,
a slight chance.
I have never really bought into Ryan Coogler being totally safe in this category, especially considering, like you said, Barbie, Denis Villeneuve missing for Dune.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are Joseph Kosinski missing for Top Gun Maverick. This branch just doesn't really care for big blockbuster entertainment. And I don't know. But I mean, so far he has not missed in whenever he's had the chance to. So I have him in my predictions, but it would not totally shock me if he did miss. I will say, if people were online for the Barbie discourse when Greta Gerwig did not get a nomination, it is going to be like nuclear level if he does not.
you think we'll get another
And
Hillary Clinton tweet?
yeah, oh boy. Don't make Thank you for reminding me. Um so yeah, I think, if like you said, Josh Safdie and Del Toro, I feel like are most at risk here. Um I feel like Jafar Panahi has been talked about a lot.
Yeah,
Joachim Trier for sentimental value. Maybe don't make me pronounce his name. Philo for The Secret Agent could sneak in there because that movie is kind of riding high at the moment.
I could see him. There's
So
always one like last minute surprise and how much heat that movie has gained. I could even see him knocking out behind Panahi. Um,
yeah,
and like Joachim Trier, like as much as I love Worst Person in the World, and I did love Sentimental Value, but it's not like it didn't hit me the same way Worst Person did. It's a movie I
hmm.
want to revisit. But
It's funny. I had the opposite reaction.
yeah, but like I don't know. Is that I know the movie's about a director, but I'm like, is that movie as much of a director's director movie? It's international. We know this guild loves this section of the academy and loves going international, but I don't
Yeah,
know. Compared to like Panahi and compared to the guy who did The Secret Agent, you know.
sure. Yeah, if I had to choose whether Joachim Trier won uh an Oscar for directing sentimental value or writing the screenplay, I would probably say screenplay.
Yeah.
So I see what you mean there. It's definitely a race to keep track of and to that's gonna uh feature some surprises here and there, but maybe a little less to talk about overall, at least compared to the PGA nominees. Unless you
Yes.
had anything else to say about DGA.
No.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess last but not least, there's the PGA Awards. Producers Guild also announced their nominees last week. I guess kind of the main, the top tier category that they had, there was the nominees were Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Train Dreams, and Weapons.
Woo! Sorry.
So, I mean, it's some cool nominees for sure. I love Train Dreams. It was my movie of the year. Weapons. I mean, if you would have told me, in August of last year that was going to be, a PGA nominee, I would have laughed pretty hard. But there's some cool nominees here. Yeah,
Always haven't they always like nominated blockbusters in like the past that didn't go on? Like,
kind of. Yeah, they kind of skew a little more populist. Yeah.
am I mistaken? Did they nominate Deadpool, the first one? I feel like, or was that
Oh,
just Golden Globes? I'm looking this up because
okay. It sounds plausible. I feel like I've heard whispers on other podcasts of yeah, similar kind of shenanigans.
they did Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Glass Onion that year. They did A Quiet Place. That
Okay.
is kind of similar kind of caliber to Weapons. Um, they did Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Okay. And yep, they did nominate Deadpool,
Okay.
which I
Very
love that movie, but that's kind of laughable.
interesting. I guess we should also pour one out here. Just more evidence that Wicked for Good probably won't be
Yeah,
Best Picture nominee, and neither will Avatar: Fire and Ash.
man.
Also missing from here. So, um, yeah, this is where people look when they're trying to predict Best Picture at the Oscars. And yeah, very rarely does it go 10 for 10. I don't know how many I would say feel safe for a Best Picture nomination. I think, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Sinners, and probably Sentimental Value
Yeah,
as well feel pretty safe. The rest, especially Weapons, I don't know.
it's not.
F1, I've got my eyes on that one. I
I agree.
mean, it is. It's Apple's only horse in the race. Not to mix metaphors, um, but it's kind of cresting at the right time. It's not picking up huge awards, but it's not missing where it needs to.
It
I'm curious. I would not shock me to hear it called out on nomination morning.
People love that movie. I love that movie. And I mean, were you a fan of it?
Yeah, yeah,
I
it rocks.
I think this nomination here, though, it's more of just like a sign of appreciation to Jerry Bruckheimer, who's one of the most successful movie producers in history. And he's kind of having this big comeback in the last few years after, he was kind of stuck with Disney for a bit. And then he came back with, the Bad Boys sequels, which were both big hits. And then, of course, Top Gun Maverick. Like, he's around and doing these kinds of movies again. And I think, you know, especially like the producers in Hollywood, they like that and they respect that. I don't
Sure.
know if it will be nominated or not. I could see. I think it's more likely than Weapons is,
Yeah,
especially because, like we've seen, they love their car racing movies. Ford v Ferrari was also a big, that had traction. So it'll be interesting because I've also listened to podcasts where they're like, you need to look out for F1. That could just like sneak in when you least expect it. And they were
yeah.
smart to hold on to that movie and drop it on Apple TV. They waited until Christmas. And that was smart because now it's gotten people talking again. Like
Right.
it's
And it
back
made a
in my
ton of
mind.
money both internationally and domestically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's yeah, like I said, it would not shock me to see it in Best Picture. Um, I think, like we said with DGA, you kind of need to make some space for some of the other international nominees. Like It Was Just an Accident. I think that's still pretty safe for a Best Picture nomination.
Yeah.
Um, and now The Secret Agent. I feel like that's like I said,
That's
it's
firmly
cresting
in.
at the right time. People love it, and the people who made it. So uh, yeah, like I said, I don't think that Weapons is going to translate to there. Begonia, I don't know. I I could go either way on that one. It wouldn't surprise me, but it would not surprise me if it missed as well.
It's been pretty consistently showing up in places. And I honestly do think it's the most like accessible movie Yorgos Lanthimos has done. I feel as weird as that movie gets and as bleak as that ending is,
Yeah,
I've talked to more people connecting with that movie than I have, non-cinephile friends who went and saw Begonia and they freaking love that movie, you know,
yeah.
versus like Poor Things. They're like, wasn't that the Emma Stone just has a brain of a baby and goes around having sex a lot? And I'm like, there's more to it than that, but kind of.
Right. That's the as one of my parents' family friends put it, it's kind of pornographic. So
Yeah. um,
yeah,
but it's consistent. And I just think people just look at that movie and like, that was a really good movie. And I think that will help it. It's not going to win anything, but
right.
I mean, I think it's kind of firmly in now, especially that Wicked and Avatar have proved to be kind of underperforming.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think it's very cool that Train Dreams is a nominee here. That was my movie of the year, and I still am holding out hope that it'll translate to Best Picture. I don't know how likely that is, but would love to see it obviously in several other categories. So um, it's just very interesting, especially with Train Dreams, how at the start of award season, it was talked about how Netflix had all these potential contenders, Jay
Mhm.
Kelly and Frankenstein, and uh, they picked up Train Dreams out of Sundance, but I don't think they really had an inkling of that being the one that would work so well amongst
It's
other awards bodies.
it's interesting too because like some of Netflix's movies that like gain traction on the service, like their awards movies usually don't. Nobody was watching Amelia Perez when that came out. That was just like the weirdos, I guess, out there. Nobody was
Uh-huh.
watching until it was nominated for a swathe of Oscars, and everybody was like, "What the hell is this?" And they're
Right.
like, "This is terrible." Even like Maestro, which had Bradley Cooper, like a huge A-list star, like that didn't do great on Netflix. This movie, like, it kind of caught on. Like, it was in the Netflix top 10 chart for like a week, and people are liking it. There's a little bit of like discourse that I think is stupid about the movie. Like, I
It
think it could get in just because it's like people. That's another one like Begonia where people watch that, and I think even more so than Begonia, they became attached to it. Like, it latched to them.
It's especially kind of funny because Train Dreams, especially out of all of the other Netflix nominees or Netflix awards, contenders, that's the one that people almost unanimously said you need to see it in the theater if you can.
Yeah,
It's so much better in the theater. So for that one to catch on so well, especially after it dropped on Netflix, was kind of funny.
yeah.
Speaking of Netflix, we didn't touch on this in the SAG or the Actor Awards, but Sandler, sorry, did he miss at SAG?
I think he did.
Um,
Let me look.
yes, he did miss.
Wow.
So Both him and George Clooney missed there, so I wonder, how safe they
I
are.
don't think at
And
all.
Jay
Clooney was
Kelly
never
overall,
safe.
like I think it'll be lucky to get any nominations at this point. So
I did want to know, it was weird because like at the beginning of last year, a year ago, people were like, with Amelia Perez, it's like, how did that become Netflix's horse? And
right,
then I remember saying to like a friend, like a colleague, like they have a huge lineup for the next year. I'm like, they have new Del Toro, they have new Baumbach, they have new Bigelow. You know, I never would have thought,
new Ryan Johnson and
yeah,
Knives Out movie.
like that it would be Train Dreams, but like I don't know. I feel like Netflix went into the awards race thinking that it was going to be like the Jay Kelly, that was going to be their main horse, and it switched to Frankenstein. I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe they always thought it was Frankenstein, and Jay Kelly was like their second tier. But I would have. I wasn't huge on Jay Kelly as much as I am a huge fan of Baumbach, and like I will defend White Noise to the ends of the earth. I love that movie so much, all of its warts, and I had a blast with that movie. And Jay Kelly, it was the thing that worked about that movie with me was the Adam Sandler performance. I thought he was very good. He's very deserving of a nomination. I have been hoping and praying for the day to see Adam Sandler be an Oscar nominee, but I don't think this is it. And
yeah,
he said on the red carpet of Golden Globes, he's like, I have 50 more movies in me, and he's like 25 of them will be actually good. And I'm like,
right.
I think he's not done trying to get an Oscar nomination. And like even early on, I never thought he was going to be in contention to win. I just wanted to see him be nominated for an Oscar. But
Yeah,
you know, he was nominated for Hustle at the Actor Awards. And like he was great in that movie. That's a great underrated movie. But that wasn't even in the conversation, but he got in there and he couldn't get in for Jay Kelly. And I think that's kind of telling.
yeah. Yeah, it's what might have been. I mean, I certainly hope that he continues to do movies like this and crank out some more great performances because I always love seeing him in that kind of mode and less in the Happy Gilmore 2 mode. So. Yeah, I think that'll probably do it for the PGA Awards, unless you had any stray thoughts on there. Okay, yeah. So I guess that'll kind of do it for this week. Next week, so I guess time is a flat circle, and I had not realized that next Thursday the Oscar nominations are coming out.
Yep.
So. Next week, we have two options. I welcome your thoughts on this, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
We could either do our own kind of FYC campaign for the fringe contenders, the people who may not be totally out of the conversation yet, but could use our help specifically. We could do that, or we could do run down what we think our Oscar nominees are going to be.
We could do either or. We could run out our list of predictions. I am constantly. Do you have the awards expert app?
I don't. I
It's
I probably should.
it's much better than Gold Derby. I'll say that because Gold Derby, that app never worked on my phone, and Awards Expert, it's great.
Hmm,
They
okay.
the Oscar Expert, Brother Bro, they do great work on that app. Except for the Ariana stands, they're kind of swarming it. But yeah, we could kind of talk about our favorite, what our predictions are, but then at the end, we kind of campaign for the fringe contender.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Very cool. Well, thank you, Nate, for joining me. I look forward to doing this again, and
Yes.
we thanks everyone for listening and watching, and we will talk to everyone next week.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.